Have you ever felt like life is a tangled mess and you're not sure how to straighten it out? What if you could learn from ancient wisdom to find more peace and purpose? Today I'll share with you the 10 Stoic rules to unfuck your life. These are simple yet powerful principles to help you live your life purposefully. These principles will guide you through life's challenges, help you grow, and find deeper meaning in everyday moments. 1. Amor Fati, love of fate. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. Epictetus. Amor Fati means loving your fate. Now I know what you're thinking. Love the bad stuff that happens to me? Yeah, right. But hear me out. Amor Fati is about accepting every crappy situation. It's about cultivating a mindset where you embrace all of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not because you're a masochist, but because you understand that every experience, even the difficult ones, present an opportunity for growth, wisdom, and finding deeper meaning. Think about it this way. We've all had those moments where something disappointing or painful happened, but looking back, we realized it was actually a blessing in disguise that put us on a better path. With Amor Fati, you're not just grudgingly accepting the hard knocks, you're actively looking for the silver lining. You're saying, okay, this really sucks right now, but what can I learn? How can I use this to become stronger, wiser, more resilient? It's like going through an intense workout. In the moment, it's grueling and uncomfortable, but afterwards you feel accomplished, proud that you powered through. And most importantly, you grew stronger because of the challenges you overcame. That's Amor Fati in action. 2. The distancing method. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. We've all been there. Something happens that just sets us off. Maybe it's getting cut off in traffic, or your partner leaving their dishes in the sink again. In that heated moment, it's so easy to just react without thinking. You flip someone the bird or snap at your loved one, only to regret it later when you've calmed down. That's where the distancing method comes in. This powerful Stoic practice teaches us to put some space between the situation and our response. Instead of instantly getting wrapped up in anger, frustration, or anxiety, we take a step back to analyze the scenario from a more rational, objective perspective. It's like hitting the pause button before we do or say something we can't take back. We create that split second of distance to ask ourselves, is this really worth getting bent out of shape over? Is my reaction going to make the situation better or worse? Am I being triggered by something deeper than this specific event? By emotionally uninvesting from the heat of the moment, we starve the flames of impulsive anger and anxiety. Now, with a bit of distance, we can respond more deliberately, almost like we're giving advice to a friend going through the same situation. Chances are that advice will be a heck of a lot wiser than lashing out. The distancing method is like carrying a fire extinguisher for those spark-up moments in life. Yeah, it might not totally douse the flames every time, but it sure beats getting burned over and over again by react first, think later. A sprinkle of space can save you a world of regret. 3. Reflect on death, Memento Mori. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. And I know what you're thinking. Reflect on death, I can't do that. But hear me out, because this Stoic practice is actually profoundly life-affirming. We live in a society that largely avoids thinking about our own mortality. Death is this looming shadow that we pretend isn't there. But the Stoics understood that consciously contemplating the fact that our time is limited is one of the greatest catalysts for squeezing every last drop out of life. It's like being handed a terminal diagnosis. Suddenly, all the trivial stuff falls away, and you're hyper-focused on what really matters most to you. Memento Mori is a way of accessing that existential clarity and urgency without having to actually face death's door. When you keep the reality of your impermanence top of mind, you become way more intentional about how you spend your precious time and energy. Are you going to waste it on toxic relationships, soul-sucking jobs, or other people's expectations? Heck no. Memento Mori gives you the perspective to start living life on your own terms. But it's not just about cutting out the fluff. It's also about fully appreciating and savoring the good things while you still can. That morning coffee, your partner's laugh, a beautiful sunset. Those small joys become radiant when you realize nothing lasts forever. So go ahead, spend a few moments each day reflecting on your mortality. It's not morose, it's a call to truly live before you die. After all, as the saying goes, he who lays up a basket of memories need dread not from the future. With Memento Mori, you're weaving a basket worth remembering. 4 beautiful choices. Virtue is the only good. Zeno of Citium. In this world obsessed with acquiring more stuff, more status, more likes on social media, it's easy to get caught up in chasing surface-level gains. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that if we just had that hot new gadget, or rocked that designer outfit, or landed that fancy job title, then we'd finally be happy and fulfilled. But the Stoics saw through that empty pursuit of the superficial. They understood that true satisfaction doesn't come from external trappings, but from cultivating internal virtue and making choices guided by wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. This principle of beautiful choices is about reorienting our focus away from shallow, fleeting pleasures and towards behaving and intending in a way that is inherently good, right, and beautiful in a deeper sense. It's about asking yourself, is what I'm about to do or pursue going to make me a better human being? Will it uplift me and those around me? Or is it just temporarily stroking my ego or indulging some base desire? Because here's the thing, when you chase after just ticking the boxes of society's checklist for success, you might get a short-lived dopamine hit, but it's never quite enough. There's always another carrot being dangled to make you feel inadequate. But when you live by beautiful choices, you cultivate an anchoring sense of self-respect and moral strength from simply doing and intending what you know to be truly good and right. That's a profound comfort and feeling of enoughness that no object or accolade can provide. So next time you're tempted to make a choice, just because it's expedient, lucrative, or will make you look good on the gram, pause and ask, is this a genuinely beautiful way to act? Your soul will thank you for it. 5. Incremental progress. Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing. Zeno of Citium. We all want the Hollywood transformation montage, don't we? You know, where the hero goes through an intense training sequence set to a rockin' soundtrack and emerges completely transformed in like 3 minutes of screen time. If only upgrading our lives was that easy. The reality is, any kind of meaningful, lasting change happens not in dramatic bursts, but through consistent, incremental progress over time. That's the idea behind this Stoic principle of taking small, manageable steps every single day towards your goals. Now I get it. That doesn't sound quite as sexy as the instant glow-up. Our dopamine-hungry brains crave that quick hit of a huge accomplishment. But here's the thing, those massive overnight overhauls we wish for, they pretty much never stick. Eventually we slip back into old patterns because real change is a marathon, not a sprint. The incremental approach is all about playing the long game through persistent effort. It's waking up every morning and doing one small thing to nudge yourself forward, whether that's writing a few paragraphs, doing 10 minutes of exercise, or spending a little less than usual. Nothing too extreme or overwhelming, just a modest, sustainable step in the right direction. And you know what? Those little steps start compounding into serious momentum over weeks, months, and years. One day you'll look back and barely even recognize the person you used to be. Except this new you, your true self, is built on rock-solid habits and growth, not a fleeting transformation that could crumble at any moment. So ditch those unrealistic overnight expectations and start embracing the power of incremental progress. It's the real secret to unfucking your life for good. Just keep walking, day after day. 6. Moral courage. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius. We've all been in situations where we're pressured to abandon our ethics for an easier path. Whether it's telling a white lie to avoid an awkward conversation, cheating just a little bit to get ahead, or just going along with the crowd despite knowing it's the wrong thing to do. In those moments, having moral courage means choosing the more challenging road simply because it's the right thing to do. It takes guts to be the person who speaks up when everyone else is silent, to be the sole dissenting voice in the face of groupthink, to make the unpopular but virtuous choice, even if it means ridicule, losses, or missing out on an opportunity. Moral courage demands having an unshakable loyalty to your deepest values over societal conventions or personal comfort. Now, don't get me wrong. The Stoics weren't about being self-righteous dogmatists who go looking for moral battles. It's about living with practical wisdom and embodying the virtues when it truly counts, not just mindlessly following rules. True moral courage means knowing which hills are worth dying on through reasoned principle, not ego. At the end of the day, having moral courage gives you a sense of unshakable character and self-respect that no amount of easy compromises can provide. When you uphold your principles in the face of adversity, you become one of the few who has the strength to truly practice what they preach. And that's a legacy very few people ever achieve. 7. Moderation and balance. By desiring little, a poor man makes himself rich. Cleanthes. Let's talk about one of the biggest keys to the unfucked life, moderation and balance. See, we live in this culture of extremes, right? We're told we have to be crushing it at all times, optimizing every aspect of our existence, never taking our foot off the gas pedal. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a one-way ticket to Burnout City. The Stoics understood that true mastery and fulfillment doesn't come from being a maniacally disciplined robot. It's about striking that delicate balance of pursuing your purpose while still leaving room for chilling out, indulging within reason, and stopping to smell the proverbial roses. The moderation mindset is all about practicing that self-restraint to avoid going overboard in any area of life, whether that's work, exercise, food, spending, you name it. It's realizing that nothing good comes from overdoing it and craving more until that craving owns you. By aiming for the middle path and tapping the brakes before we veer into unhealthy extremes, we free ourselves from being enslaved by our own excessive wants and impulses. Money doesn't rule us, nor do physical appetites or the need to relentlessly perform. Instead, we cultivate a sense of inner autonomy, ease and alignment. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to be a lazy slob who does nothing but binge Netflix. The goal is to consciously choose where to direct our effort and intensity. We go hard on the things that truly matter, but we're also willing to ease up, indulge reasonably, and let ourselves simply be and enjoy life's pleasures. 8. Stoic Equality. We are all threads in the same tapestry. Marcus Aurelius. In this world, it's so easy to get caught up in superficial hierarchies and meaningless social stratifications. We're bombarded with messages that certain people are inherently superior or inferior, based on factors like their job title, bank account balance, educational pedigree, or social media clout. But here's the thing. All that noise about who's on a higher or lower rung of some made-up ladder, it's all bullshit when you really think about it. Because from a Stoic perspective, every single person has intrinsic worth and dignity that transcends temporal accolades and material possessions. This principle of Stoic equality is about stripping away those external trappings that we use to falsely elevate or diminish each other's value as human beings. Whether you're a CEO or a janitor, a celebrity or a regular Joe, wealthy or low income, none of that actually makes you any better or worse than the person next to you. We're all flawed, imperfect people just trying to make our way in this wacky world. We all struggle, we all suffer. We all have our own beauty and light inside us that's equally deserving of being honored and treated with fundamental human respect. When you practice Stoic equality, you free yourself from the toxic comparisons and hierarchies that breed so much useless insecurity, arrogance, and conflict. You realize that your existence isn't more or less valuable based on some superficial metric of success. Instead, you start interacting with others from a place of being fellow travelers on this crazy journey of life, each equally dignified souls just trying to make the best of it. There's a leveling humility and compassion that comes with that mindset. 9. Evening reflection. When the light has gone and you are at rest, do not let slip what you have accomplished during the day. Seneca. We're constantly bombarded with distractions and demands that make it easy to just mindlessly go through our days on autopilot. Wake up, respond to emails, run errands, binge Netflix. then collapse into bed only to rinse and repeat. But taking the time for an intentional evening reflection is such a powerful way to interrupt that mindless cycle. The Stoics understood that pausing at the end of each day to deliberately look back on how we spent our time and energy is crucial for living with purpose and continually growing as human beings. It's like doing a nightly inventory and course correction. During your evening reflection, you can ask yourself questions like, where did I embody my values today? What choices am I proud of, and which ones did I slip up on? How did I treat others, including myself? You can celebrate wins, but also take an honest look at mistakes or areas for improvement, all without harsh self-judgment. By regularly checking in this way, you cultivate profound self-awareness that helps you better align your daily actions with your core principles and highest aspirations. You catch yourself in unhealthy patterns early before they spiral. You ensure you're intentionally steering your life in a direction that's true to you. This reflection is also a beautiful opportunity to simply feel gratitude for whatever went right throughout the day, no matter how small. To appreciate the gift of even just having another day of life, to strive to be better. In our frenetic social media-addled world, taking 10-15 minutes each night to truly pause, be present, and consciously examine your own behavior is a radical act of self-care and self-authorship. It's like a mindful reset button that ensures you're living proactively instead of just going through the motions. 10. Gratitude. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. Now I'm going to let you in on one of the biggest secrets to the unfucked life: gratitude. Yes, that simple practice of actively appreciating the good things, no matter how small, can be utterly transformative. See, our brains have this pesky tendency to scan for and fixate on threats, problems, what's going wrong. It's called negativity bias, and it's how our ancestors survived by being hypervigilant to danger. But in our modern world, that survival mechanism often just manifests as needless anxiety, resentment, and never feeling satisfied. Gratitude is the antidote. It's about consciously redirecting your focus away from what's lacking and towards appreciating and savoring the positive aspects of your reality, from life's little joys to the miraculous fact that you're even here at all. When you make gratitude a habit through practices like keeping a gratitude journal or just pausing to appreciate things throughout the day, it literally reshapes your brain over time. You start automatically noticing the good more. Your perspective shifts from scarcity to abundance. This attitude of appreciation becomes your base operating system, rather than that anxious glass half empty mentality. And you realize there's always something to be grateful for, even in life's darkest valleys. That phenomenal cup of coffee, the beauty of nature, having people who love you, all those bright spots you might have ignored, can become brilliant sources of contentment. Sure, problems will still arise, but they no longer blot out your entire reality. You have an unshakable foundation of gratitude to buoy you. Best of all, this practice is completely free. No expensive therapies or self-help programs required, just the courageous act of looking for light amidst the darkness we often get hooked on. Give it a try and watch how quickly it unshackles you from needless suffering. A life of appreciation awaits.